All right, everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Toy Anxiety. As always, my name is Craig Goldberg, and I am here with Ryan Dole. Ryan, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. It's good. It's a good Monday. It's good Monday, everybody.
It's a Mando Monday. Another Mando
It's a Mando Monday.
And we, for the first time in Toy Anxiety, are bringing on our special guest for this week, Jake Stevens. From Forlom to Zuckuss, a Star Wars action figure aficionado and podcaster, and all sorts of stuff. Jake, what's up, man? Thanks for joining YHS Toy Anxiety.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here because, like I was mentioned before the show, yes, of course, Star Wars is my kind of claim to fame, but it's for me, I've been collecting since a child, and I collect way more than Star Wars. I just get to write about it, and I do a lot with Star Wars, but man, my love for Transformers and G.I.Joe and He-Man and Marvel runs deep. And so it's always a pleasure to come talk about other stuff too. But we can talk Star Wars all day. Well,
yeah,
it's totally fine.
It's funny because like in 2020, there's such a lack of media. So right now it's like Star Wars is Mandalorian is the only thing happening, it feels like, in movies and TV right now. So we've definitely had Star Wars on our brain. I know when we do our weekly pickups, it's almost all Star Wars for me this week. Jake, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about, what you do? I know you've been podcasting a long time. You did just say that you mostly dabble in Star Wars, but how'd you get into this crazy world? And it is crazy. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah, trust me. Like you said, I've been involved in a long time. And so, yeah, you can see all sorts of crazy, and you can see crazy come and go and replaced with new crazy. So
right, gets updated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's 2.0, 3.0. They're all here.
Wave 2 of crazy.
Right. Absolutely.
Crazy repacks.
Limited edition, right? Yeah.
Exclusives.
Yeah, the vintage collection crazy all comes back. Yeah.
Retro crazy. There is retro crazy, actually. There is a lot of retro crazy.
Oh, we're going to get into it. I can't wait.
I'm a lifelong collector, so I never stopped. When most people got to that awkward phase in middle school where you kind of blew things up with firecrackers, buried them in the backyard, or just sold them at a garage sale. No, that was not Jake. I was middle school for me was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and going down and finding them and trying to buy them and running into the sixth grade girl of your dreams and popping that Casey Jones behind your back and going, "Hey, what's going on?" Cool. All right. Well, good seeing ya. Yeah. And then you kind of go up to the register. So
you're like, I don't even know. I thought this was like a hockey player. I'm into sports mostly. So.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, this is for my little brother. I don't have one, but this is for him.
Yeah. It's his birthday this weekend, so need to find something.
I definitely have that
good uncle
too. In ninth grade, Ryan, we've talked about this a little bit, but I was a big wrestling action figure collector, and in ninth grade, my entire bedroom, all four walls, was mint on card Jack's Pacific wrestling figures.
Yes.
And then it kind of dawned on me one day. I was like, man, I don't know if this is doing me any favors.
Because it's always kind of funny hearing people's transition, like what their transition toy line was from going from playing with it to collecting it. Because for me, it was Toy Biz X-Men, and that's where my transition went, from like that first wave one with the Nightcrawler with the suction cup on the hand, and same here. Like I think I've got like 4 of them in my apartment still. One on card, one mint out of package, and then the one I had growing up. It was just like, and that was my transition, because I just started getting into comics, and Jim Lee #1 still hasn't quite come out yet, and he was still doing Uncanny, and then started seeing the ads for like, oh, these X-Men toys, and it's like, oh, Nightcrawler, and then you knew, right? And that's how it turned in from playing with your toys to now you need to collect them.
Yeah.
I just met Jim Lee last year and got him to sign my X-Men #1.
Whoa, that's
pretty awesome.
Whoa, oh, dude, that's so funny. Like, because I got him to sign. I got it framed. It's over there. I forgot I framed it.
Take it out.
And I was like, I think I got it right here. I can't even show you. But it's like I got the X-Men Jim Lee cards.
Oh, cool.
I got the Nightcrawler card signed.
Oh, very cool. Is that your character?
he's what. So when I started getting into comics, it was actually like a magazine, not Wizard, but it was like called Comic Scene. And he did the cover, and it was this big interview with him and Chris Claremont, and they were talking about Uncanny X-Men and where the title was going. So they were kind of hinting at a #1 issue coming out. And then from that kind of like spawned into collecting Marvel cards, because that was your Wikipedia back in the day, because there was no internet.
Absolutely.
And then I was like, who's this guy? That's my guy. And then just because he looked so different, like that was the thing. I just liked him. And then I found out like, wait, he's also in the X-Men, which then led to me reading Excalibur, which then got me hooked on comics for the rest of my life. And that was it. Never looked back.
Damn.
Awesome.
Look at that. Little history lesson. 10 episodes.
Little
in.
history.
I love it. Maybe we should have done that on episode 1. Thanks for facilitating that, Jake.
Hey, you're welcome. The cool thing though is about that transition though, it is like you said, you go from from opener, from playing to then collecting. What I found was that the kids who didn't get rid of their toys, so the middle school years was awkward. And like I said, you were kind of keeping on the DL. But in high school, all of a sudden, I started becoming like the guy that kept his Star Wars stuff. And there were other fellow fans that came out, our fellow, high schoolers that were like, dude, you still have all your Star Wars? I'm like, yeah, you want to come over and see them? And all of a sudden, now it's cool again.
Right.
Yep.
And then, so that was really cool. I'll give credit to Kevin Smith about that, because his bringing the conversation out in Clerks, the first one, kind of like it's subtle, it's not the premise of the movie in any way, shape, or form, but it was important to have people in pop culture talking publicly about the stuff that I would skip lunch and stay in during math class to quiz each other on Star Wars facts, so we were those nerds finally being seen on screen. And then of course 95 hit and Star Wars came back and the world was right again.
Even with the Kevin, sorry Greg, but the stuff with Kevin Smith. Yeah, sorry. It's just like the stuff with even like Kevin Smith, it was like, you're right, like how you do get seen. And it's kind of funny when you grow up in a small town and then to these people to start to discover Mallrats and they start to discover Clerks. And then they all kind of go, oh, those guys are like Ryan. I get it. And also it kind of seemed like it went from like, that's kind of where I went, kind of like from just being like this geeky kid, this nerd, this dork, to like, oh, now here's a dork we kind of sort of understand.
Right.
And it kind of, the bullying kind of went down from like, was at a 10 and it kind of went down to a 1 as soon as people kind of discovered Clerks and Mallrats, because they were just like, oh, okay, so he's not such a loser.
It's interesting because I'm a little bit younger than Ryan. So I graduated high school in 2002. So 99 was when Phantom Menace came out, and that I was a freshman. And I have a very firm memory of the toy craze and wanting to get into Star Wars toys, because I was never Star Wars was never my thing as a kid. I don't even think I saw the first Star Wars movie till I was probably in like 6th or 7th grade. It just wasn't, because I was born in 84, so I was kind of in the more Ghostbusters, TMNT. I missed Masters of the Universe and Star Wars. All my older cousins had it, so I was obviously familiar with it. But 99 was like Star Wars mania took over, and I remember like going to the stores, going to Walmart, going to Toys R Us, and still doing that thing where I was like, oh, I'm getting this Darth Maul. It was for my little brother though. Like, I don't even care, whatever. But yeah, so Star Wars did kind of rebirth itself in the mid 90s and into the late 90s. And then, but I totally agree with the Kevin Smith thing. Cause like the first time I saw Jay and Silent Bob was in like a Toy Fair magazine. I was like, what is this? And I was just like, I remember I went to Best Buy and I bought Dogma. It was the first Kevin Smith movie I ever saw. And I remember thinking I was like an indie film kid after watching that. I was like, I watched Dogma. You probably don't know what it is, so don't worry about it. No,
99 was huge. 99 was the biggest Star Wars probably. So it is kind of comes down to it. It's Jedi was ginormous. Jedi was ginormous when it came out in 83. 99 was mega. And I didn't think that Force Awakens could come close to it, but it It did. The hype leading up to Force Awakens was massive too, but I think since I worked at Toys R Us and I was very much when I worked at Toys R Us on 99, I ran and set up Midnight Madness in 99 at Toys R Us in my little town. And so I can speak on firsthand knowledge. I think it did outpace Force Awakens a little bit. But it was close. It was close.
That's a great segue into something I was going to actually ask you about, because as a longtime collector, we've had this discussion, like the hype was there for Force Awakens, right? Everybody in the world went and saw that movie. And, but does it translate? Do kids care about toys? That's kind of like the thing I think about a lot. Not as much as I think about how much I care about toys, but when you talk about, it kind of flew under the radar, unless you're like to the hardcore Star Wars collecting universe, the 5 POA going away for Rise of Skywalker. And I don't mean to bring up such a
It's a painful one for me. But it's a painful one for me. But
yeah, because I was going to ask you, are you down for the 5 points? Or are you more of a joint queen? Like I was kind of like wondering, like.
So this is what I call it. My first love is Star Wars, right? The Kenner line. So I was born in 76. So I grew up with Star Wars. So I was all about the figures. I saw Empire and Jedi in the theater, too young for New Hope, of course. But I grew up. That was my jam. And when, like you said, Star Wars died kind of around when you came around in 84, right? Like that wasn't the jam anymore, right? And so I say G.I. Joe became my mistress at that point, because I didn't have Joe, but I loved 3 3/4. And so I went all in on Joe as much as I could for being a kid. And I collected Joe and Star Wars the best that I could all the way up until 2004. And then I just couldn't keep up with Joe and Star Wars, because the amount of figures that Hasbro was putting out for both lines was staggering, right? And it's still a level we haven't. Yeah, between 4 and 10, those lines, I know G.I. Joe died off in between there, but Star Wars, I mean, the amount of figures that were coming and going was torrential. And so I just couldn't keep up, even though I loved Joe. But the other reason I pieced out on Joe is because they stopped the O-ring, and I'm an O-ring fan. But when you talk about 5 POA, people think, well, I should not like 5 POA anymore because G.I. Joe was my mistress and that was super bendy, right? But no, my love is there. I want Star Wars figures, right? This is horrible to say, but if I had my way, I'd axe the 6-inch and bring back way more 3 3/4 lines. So
yeah,
6-inch just isn't my scale. The only 6-inch figures I ever collected as a kid were Centurions, and those were the only scale they came in. Otherwise, I'm a small scale guy. I collected Muscles. I collected Starcom, Sky Commanders, Mask. I love the little things because you can get more bang for your buck, right? And we know the only reason G.I. Joe is 3 3/4 and not 12-inch is because they wanted to sell us vehicles.
Yes,
that was
lots of vehicles.
That was the idea, right?
Right.
And so same thing with Star Wars. I like the smaller scale because that means I get more. Think about how many vehicles we have in the Black Series. We don't have that many. We're not going to get the Falcon. We're not going to get anything massive, but you're going to get that in the 3 3/4 scale.
Right.
So that's where my love is. So I want everything 3 3/4. That's my jam.
No, it kind of begs the question that kind of goes into what I was talking about, which is, even vintage collection, which obviously has such a hardcore and passionate fan base, but they like, they don't produce a lot of it overall. There's offerings every year. There's, but we watched the last where you and the other sites did the Q&A with
Hasbro's brand team this week. Yeah.
And that was really great and really informative. And obviously there's a lot that they can't talk about, but that's just the nature of the toy biz, I guess. But
sure.
They even said, the main guy, his name slips my mind, but he said,
Patrick.
Yeah. Patrick. It's never going to be what it was like in 2010. It's just not.
I know.
And there has to be reasons for that. And listen, if there's one thing I've learned in 2020 is that people are buying toys. People are
right.
As a collector, obviously I have a lot of vintage stuff, but Star Wars, G.I. Joe Classified, G.I. Joe Retro, NECA Ninja Turtles, Super 7 Ninja Turtles, Super 7 everything else. Like, people are going crazy to get their hands on collector's lines. So what is it that is keeping Hasbro from being able to produce a lot of these characters that they still have never done in, forget 5 POA, but just 3 3/4? And this is what keeps me up at night.
Right. I think it is multi-level, multi-layered, obviously, because it is a complicated thing. But the difference between 2020 and 2010 is, of course, quality of life for China, which right on for them, right? They're joining the capitalism, they're a capitalist communist country. And so their people aren't working for pennies like they were when we were kids, and they can churn out 3 billion action figures for pennies on the dollar. So I think that's part of it. Also, the amount of tooling. Hasbro is to tool. So I watched this kind of a TED Talk like thing from a former Hasbro designer. And he said the tooling costs to make a 6-inch figure is the exact same cost for a 3 3/4. So then you have to think about Hasbro's end. Like, okay, so I can make this figure and sell it for $12.99, right? Off $100,000 tooling mold. Or I can make his larger version and sell it for $25.99 or $30.99 and really make your money, right? I mean, so there's logistics there. There is things cost more in China. The plastic thing, I throw away that article because gas has been cheap for a long time now. So a lot of people say the gas price is more. I'm like, really? No, it's pretty affordable right now. And then I think the other thing is honestly, Hasbro, I think, is trying to turn into an entertainment corporation and not just a toy company. Clearly. With its purchase of E1, I think they reshuffled the budgets. They reshuffled the budgets and said, hey, we want to focus this on Tenacious D, and we want to focus this on developing Bumblebee 2, right? And so your toy budgets, you can't make 55, 70 different Star Wars action figures this year because we're not paying you that much for the molds, right? Right. So I think there is lots of tiers to it. And plus now we're also in, we're in a non-media year. Now I know Hasbro is fully embraced The Mandalorian. I don't know if you can see it, but I got my Hasbro box today.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no,
the Mandalorian, the
promo kit they give to some of them. Yeah.
Good. Oh man, I'm so jealous of that thing. It's a nice
cool box. It's a cool box.
I haven't even opened it yet because it just arrived about an hour ago, and it's my birthday tomorrow. So I thought, you know what?
That's great.
It'd be kind of fun to open it on my birthday.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Happy birthday, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of a sadomasochist that I can let it sit there and know that it's got a lot of good stuff in it. And,
I do the same thing. Like I'll pick up stuff throughout the week. I'll put it here in the toy room, the toy/podcast room. Because I want to be able to sit down and enjoy, opening them and looking at them and playing with them. Let's not
absolutely no. It is playing with them, and I think that is completely fine.
Thank you. I need
people don't like to say that, but I mean, come on. I got the new Forlam that came in the mail. Where's my camera? This is the new Forlam. Cool. This is 3 3/4, but this is not Hasbro.
Okay, what are we looking at?
This is the new Galaxy's Edge Droid Depot Forlam that just dropped last week.
Oh, very cool, very cool.
And so, yeah, they have some exclusives to the Droid Factory line that Disney has, where you kind of put them all together.
Right.
So yeah, that was last week's that one, and here's his companion, or the other one that came out. This is CB23. This is from Resistance.
Yep. Oh, that's Poe Dameron's other droid, is it?
This is the other she. This is the she. Oh, yep.
There you go. Yeah. So I mean, I agree with you. There's a lot of reasons, right? You kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, look what Hasbro's doing. Like, Hasbro owns Power Rangers now and is developing television and film, and
hopefully sinking them, they said, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea, I think, from the new movie.
Which is really cool. And like I'm not a diehard Power Rangers fan, but I've kind of gotten into it more the last couple of years, have that nostalgia from childhood. And I think they're killing it with Lightning Collection. They're doing a really good job. But you got to feel for like, listen, Ryan and I, we poke a lot of fun at the unself-aware collectors because it's just, but we also feel the same way. Like when you see the people on the message boards going, why can't there be more vintage collection? We laugh and then we go, we agree. We wish there was more. But I think, talking about, excuse me, talking about HasLab, Razor Crest, that had to outpace anybody's expectations. And it has to really, that's a big moment for fans to say, put your money where your mouth is for this line. And I mean, I think it's at 25,000 closing.
No, let's see. It has 2 hours and 4 minutes left as of this recording. And we are at 26,542. This baby's probably going to make 27 grand.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And obviously you get some exclusive TVC figures with it. And that promise that they made of, if you guys back this thing, you're going to get these Mandalorian characters that you want.
Yeah.
So that it's a really good sign of the best possible thing that could happen for people who love these
vintage collection frog lady. Let's do this.
Do it.
Right? Please. No, I mean, I will buy it. That's the thing. I will buy it. And see, here's the other thing about the 5 POA, just to circle back to that comment, the death of the 5 POA. The problem with the 5 POA is when the 5 POA died, so did tertiary and background characters. Mm-hmm. That's unfortunately what happened. Because when the new line is going to they're going to make the core characters, right? The vintage collection, whenever a new property comes out, they're going to make the main characters. If you're lucky, right? My son's name is Finn. And so how upset am I that I don't have the Rise of Skywalker Finn action figure in the vintage collection? I mean,
we've talked about that a lot too.
I mean, that my son loves Finn. My son loves Finn, of course. It's his namesake, right? If there was a character named Jake, he would be my number one character. Actually, there is a character named Jake. He has not yet debuted in Galaxy's Edge, but a couple years ago. So I'm a former Disney employee. So I'm I used to work for the parks.
Cool.
Cruise lines as an entertainer. And so I kind of keep tabs on what's going on. And they actually have a pilot droid that they have. It's kind of a no hands controlled astromech that kind of goes around the park and interacts with people. And his name is Jake. So, but they piloted that a year before Galaxy Edge opened. Galaxy Edge is opened and they still haven't put the droid out. So I don't know what they're waiting for, but
Ryan, you're kind of a former Disney employee.
Kind of. Well, that's because I worked at ILM.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
that's really impressive. Can I ask what you did?
Oh, I'm just I'm just working production, but I left there to go work for Sony. So
yes.
Okay.
Ryan won an Oscar.
So you work on Spider-Man now?
Yes.
Very
Ryan's our
cool.
Oscar-winning co-host for Into the Spider-Verse. So he's being humble. He's very talented. I am
awesome.
not. That's why I'm bragging about Ryan. Like, well, I work at the
those are the legends I'm waiting for. Once the Into the Spider-Verse legends come out, I'm going to be all over those.
All over it.
I collected that whole line though. Even though 6 inch isn't my scale, I love the MCU and the Marvel movies so much, that I went and got that whole Into the Spider-Verse line.
Oh, cool.
Even the big play set and everything. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
It's like, I was kind of always hoping they were going to do more, like, because you're right, like some smaller ones were always kind of be good. Because I remember here's another pat on the back for myself. So when I was working on Guardians Volume 1, one of our big things was like, sorry, Greg.
No,
you can plug your band after this.
Thank you.
Like we always kind of wanted the ship, right? Like we were always kind of like, oh man, we're going to see toys of this and toys of this. And we kind of never really did. And we kind of only got that wave of Marvel Legends.
The Milano, the small one.
Yeah, the Milano.
Well, I
the
think
tiny ones. I collected that.
this kind of bridges these discussions really well, because when these new properties come out, you always have like, the collector's focus line and then the kids focus line. And sometimes they really kill it with the kids focus stuff. And sometimes it feels like a total like whiff, like, man, like, I don't know. It just,
I had better McDonald's toys.
Oh, what do we got? Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, this is, a cheap, but this is kind of a whiff. This looks like I'm holding up Magneto to you, and that's supposed to be Thor.
It's supposed to be Thor.
I mean,
I was like, is that a Havoc?
This is that new $3.99 wave that's coming to Walgreens. But again, it's my scale, so I can't resist a 3 3/4.
I mean, that's fine.
Even though
it's for the price.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's the Hulk needs a little more gym work, but what can you do?
What can you do? Off on his cheat day. But kind of getting back to Razor Crest real quick. You're pretty involved. We kind of all, I did not think Razor Crest was going to be the HasLab until about a week before, and then it started kind of clicking in my head like that's probably what it's going to be, and then stuff started leaking and it kind of felt like, oh, it's definitely going to be that.
I can't even remember what we thought it was going to be before the Razor Crest.
Well, we had some everybody says,
I know, but I can't even remember at this point, because like once we saw it was Razor Crest,
Death Star.
Death Star playset is
a modular Death Star.
Yeah.
And inside a long time ago, Power Force 2, they actually created a modular Death Star set that they kind of showed to folks, but never really went forward with. So that's beyond the 2 pieces that we got in the Power Force 2. So that's an idea that's been kicking around for a long time. So people like to cycle back to that.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I think it's hard.
But I always thought, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's hard because, when you think about what is going to be something that gets people excited, most of the major vehicles have been done. We've got the big Millennium Falcon, we got the Vintage Collection Slave One. There was 2 X-Wings that came out last year, and I don't even know. I mean, you could still find that Poe Dameron and the Luke X-Wing pretty easily. So it's got to be something that is, a dream project, but maybe not so. I don't know. I don't know if a Death Star playset sells 21,000 units like a Razor Crest. And
would have during Rogue One, maybe, but we're past that, right?
Exactly, right.
I was chatting with Guillermo from the producer and director of Plastic Crack, that documentary.
Oh, yeah.
You're pretty familiar with that one?
Uh-huh.
And I loved, he had a great idea that it should have been, or a great HasLab could be the Rebel Transport, the big oblong one that then opens up like into some like Hoth base or something, right? I mean, how cool would that be that people could choose to display it in its, because that's one vehicle that's never seen the light of day since 1980. I think that was an 81 release.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think the B-Wing is in the same thing where I don't think we've seen that since the 80s really either. I can't think of another time.
We saw, Power of the Force, Power of the Jedi. So the green line that followed Power of the Force. Yeah. Right. Followed the Phantom Menace, released a B-Wing with a B-Wing pilot. And then a few years later in, I want to say the Saga collection, we got a different version that was based on a comic book squadron. And it actually came with a sheet of stickers that you can make like all 4 or 5 of the different squadron members from the comic book. And so, I was not financially prepared to buy a bunch of those. So I do have one, and I opted not to put any stickers on it because I'm like, I don't know.
Right. See, I don't even remember that because there was so much coming out at that time. And I remember just like, and one of my biggest collecting regrets, and I'm paying for it now, is collecting the Clone Wars line.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. I'm paying for that hard.
Well, why are you paying
if people want to go back and get the animated style, God go with you, man, because you're going to be, that wallet is going to be hating you.
Yeah. It's been a tough, we talk a lot on making choices and setting rules for yourself and what are you going to collect and what are you not going to collect. And I am, with Vintage Collection, I can kind of set those rules, right? Like I don't buy it all. I kind of buy what I like. did back the Razor Crest because even as a general toy enthusiast, I just feel like this is a kind of a revolutionary thing that Hasbro's doing.
Did you get the barge?
I do. It's right up there, just off camera.
Awesome.
Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie, so I wasn't gonna
sure.
Like I need to justify it. Well, if I didn't like ROTJ, I probably no. I love it. I think it's fantastic. And I want them to do it for, you know, I'm so happy that the Sentinel did as well as it did, and poor Cookie Monster.
Yeah, no. Cookie Monster, they don't even acknowledge that. That's not even on their page. Swung and, you know, struck out list on Hasbro Pulse. But,
I think with Razor Crest, it's so successful that I don't think it'll be. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a new HasLab launch fall of next year.
Well, here's the thing. I think what they found is that $350 is the magic price.
Yeah,
because that's what we got our Sentinel. That's what we got our Razor Crest. Those suckers backed instantly. Same thing with Hero Quest. That was like $100, $150. That sucker backed instantly.
Right.
You have the barge, and one of the things that I'm doing because I'm a nerd, I tracked every single day. So at midnight, every single day, I track how many barges, and now I've been doing how many crests were sold and what's the daily percentage growth.
I love that.
I'm a school teacher, and so it kind of like it just kind of falls in hand. And so the barge didn't fund until its third or fourth day to the end of the campaign.
Right.
Okay. But that was a $500 barge. Same thing with Unicron. Unicron did not even fund. It had to be expanded to almost double the length because that was above 500 even. So now that they've backed all these HasLabs back down to 350, whether it's, people are using half their stimulus checks, whether they're just not going out to the stores and buying other stuff, they're having this money right now, and 350 is a sweet spot that funds right away.
Yeah. I mean, I think at 350, we talked about this a couple times. If you work and most people, if you're a collector in a 2-month period, can probably, I don't want to say most people because that sounds like I'm an asshole. So lots of people lots of people can't save 3. Just like I'm walking up and down the streets. Anybody can get a Razor Crest. Where's your Razor Crest? Come on, man.
You want a Razor Crest? I'll get you a Razor Crest.
But if you're a Star Wars collector and you are already think about Black Series, $20-25 a pop. It feels like they're putting out 20 figures a month. And I'm
right.
It's insane. They're all repaints. I'm sitting here with my, we can kind of do our weekly reveals as we go, because I think it'll maybe be more fun. So I've got these friggin' dumb credit collection figures.
Oh yeah.
And they look really great. Ryan asked me, why are you getting that Cara Dune? You already have Cara Dune. And I was like, I don't know. They put it out.
Yeah, right. No, the trick is on that one. That's a Target one. The trick is you got in 98 seconds before it sold out. Well, or you happen to be at the store on the day they put it out.
I did. So the Target pre-orders are weird because my history with Target Black Series exclusives is the pre-order always sells out immediately, and then once they hit stores, they're fairly available. I was able to get that, and I was able to get the Holiday Trooper, which is another head scratcher that I love. Mine. Oh, it's almost time for our segment. And then I've got the IG-11 here, and then this one came in today, and I didn't even realize Amazon had shipped it. It's the Death Trooper there.
Oh yeah, Death Trooper.
That's
nice.
Cool.
I guess I'll show off my last credit collection while we're here. And so, I love Black Series, and I'm a huge fan of it, and I'm gonna get it.
Can I ask? I'm always curious because I have zero judgment because you can collect what you want to collect. But I'm curious, do you love Black Series because of the scale and that's what you love, that scale? Or do you like photography? Or is that, I'm just always curious because I'm a obviously lifelong collector. When Black Series came out, I'm like, well, that's redundant. For me, having all these figures already in, multiple copies, I'm like, well, why am I going to pay twice for a bigger figure? So for me personally, the Black Series has always been redundant.
Right. I do, because like I said, so Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles, those are kind of your 4 to 5 inch action figures. That was my main thing my whole life. Wrestling figures have always been kind of a 6 inch, 7 inch scale. And I'm not anti 3 3/4 because I got a ton of it, but I do think because I didn't grow up with G.I. Joe and Star Wars as my number one, that's what I gravitated towards. It's never been, never been my number one. I do some figure photography, and I do like the more detailed figures. But let's face it, Black Series, the human figures sucked until about 2 years ago. Like if you go,
like the photo reel.
Well, I appreciate it. Obviously, I would love a hand sculpted, hand painted, something like a NECA figure 100% of the time. But because I think sometimes with the photo reel, you get like a weird shine and like different angles, kind of. I don't know. But if you hold the Force Awakens Rey up to the Last Jedi, Island Journey Rey, it's like, is this even the same like line of action figures? But I kind of got suckered into Black Series. That was kind of my reintroduction to Star Wars collecting because I wasn't collecting any of it, 5 or 6 years ago. But now it's to the point where I feel like I'm buying everything. I've got all these vintage collection figures pre-ordered. I got all the retro figures, Mandalorian ones pre-ordered. I totally botched today. I completely forgot. I can't believe I forgot about Mando Monday.
The Stormtrooper?
I did not order the Stormtrooper. Weird that they make these exclusives for these army builder figures. There's got to be a reason. I don't believe that anybody at Hasbro is like, let's make the Stormtrooper, whatever it is, Target or Amazon.
When everyone's asking, can you just put them in a box like a Hellfire Club? Can you just like throw them out there and just because they could? I think they would make way more money that way than making them an exclusive.
Well, I've wondered about.
Do you remember when they used to do boxes of exclusives at it was called the Hasbro Toy Shop, right?
Okay.
Hasbro Toy Shop used to throw 3 3/4 in, and it would throw 4 Rebel Commandos, 4 Stormtroopers, and they would just have them in a little brown box, and that's what you got, and they sold like crazy.
I wish they would do that with the Cantina band as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the direct-to-consumer model is really enticing for them, and I think Hasbro Pulse is probably doing really well. I know that they have huge contracts that they have to, they still, I don't know what it'll be like in 2030, but in 2020, brick-and-mortar retail, Target and Walmart, I got into this thing. I try not to get into things with toy people on the internet, especially Facebook. But I made this statement that said, in the United States, like it or not, Walmart is the number one toy retailer and Target's right there with it. And somebody was saying I was wrong. And I was like, okay, well, who is it? And they were like, well, it's Amazon. I was like, listen, I'm talking about brick and mortar, go to the store, buy it. And by the way, I think Walmart probably is still over Amazon for toys. But that's just where it is. There is no big box toy stores. So they're kind of beholden to these massive retail chains. And if Walmart says we're not carrying Star Wars unless, X, Y, and Z, then they kind of have to do it for now.
Yeah. I think my son's rides here. My dog is going crazy. If you can hear the miniature schnauzer in the background, having a fit. We call him the sheriff because he just destroys anybody verbally who comes near the house.
All right.
And so Pixel Dan said it best. He says, Hasbro needs Walmart, but Walmart doesn't need Hasbro. Mm-hmm. And I really believe that. I believe that, someone in higher up who works for Walmart, they know what the fans want, right? Some toy scientist out there who works he's like, hey, you know what? We need these exclusives for this property and this property and this property. And he goes out and he courts Hasbro and says, we want these. And then he sends it off to the online department and they don't know how to fulfill it. Or the fulfillment department doesn't know, oh yeah, maybe we should buy extra of those to stock on the store shelves. I mean, I can't find a single toy at my Walmart. It is empty 98% of the time.
Yeah.
So, it is horrible. Me trying to hunt down these new MOTU. I've never seen the Sky Sled. Not even close. Have no idea. Can't find it.
Yeah. And it's funny because
I saw that you had it last week, right?
Ryan got one.
Yeah, I got one. He's got one. But you know what? Like, they're starting to show up here in Canada, so I'll see if we can get you another one.
Yeah. Throw it back down the other side of the border. It's been weird because I will
go to the wall and then you meet me because we're only about 2 hours apart.
Pushing
and like, hey, we're not. That's
I'm
legal,
gonna tie
right?
it to a goose. I'm just gonna duct tape it to a goose and just send them over. And they gotta fly south for the winter anyway. So there.
They basically a goose with a sky sled. I think it's been weird because I'm in Metro Atlanta, so I've got and I have to check my toy privilege is what I always say because I've got 10 Targets and 30 Walmarts in my 40-mile radius. Like I just do. Yeah. So I can find basically whatever, like even the new Clone Wars, Star Wars exclusive Black Series figures that are very hard to find. And it's funny that you said like why would Walmart demand, Ahsoka and Mandalorian loyalist figures? Somebody knows that these are going to be hot sellers.
There is absolutely somebody who works for Walmart, knows what's hot, is a collector, is tapped into the forums and the Facebook feeds or whatever. It just doesn't translate after they say, hey, we want these figures. And then fulfillment goes, well, what do we do with these? What day do these come out? Right. That's the thing. You show up at Walmart on a release date and they're like, I don't know. What are you talking about? What's Star Wars?
Right. What is Star Wars?
We're at war? What?
Where? Ryan, we went through it this year with the Ghostbusters, the Hasbro Kenner Classic re-releases, which were Walmart exclusives. And all the classic Walmart's greatest hits. So first, the pre-orders sell out really quickly. So that's your first Walmart's greatest hit. Then they all hit stores before any of the pre-orders are shipped. That's your second.
Yep.
That's your second. And then once the pre-orders shipped, they're just completely damaged. They're bending cards, throwing them in envelopes. I had one envelope that was just showed up open with like my Stay Puft just completely destroyed. So, but what can you do? Like, is Hasbro got to sit down with one? Like, people are going to.
But that's not Hasbro's fault, though. That's the thing. Everyone goes after Hasbro, and obviously, I work with Hasbro, and so but I'm not entitled to sing their praises, right? I mean, I love what they do, and so it's kind of a win-win, situation. But I will call it when I call it. But having crappy delivery from Walmart, or I don't know if you've seen some of my deliveries from Walmart for the retro collection this last year. Mm-hmm. The Empire Strikes Back. I got some of them that were like in a ball almost.
Oh, I mean, yes.
And so yes, I absolutely sympathize with you. I couldn't even get the Ghostbusters. I only got the Ghosts. I couldn't even get the 4 guys, and I had to hunt them down locally at Walmart's when they dropped.
Right.
So I sympathize, but Hasbro has nothing to do with that. Hasbro can't go to Walmart and go, I'd like to see your warehouses, and I'd like to see your guys putting these into boxes, and I want to police every one of them. That's not Hasbro. You know what? Honestly, by the time that happens, Hasbro's been paid, right? It's kind of like if I sold you, Ryan, a figure and he wants to ship it to you, Craig, and he decides to destroy it when he ships it to you. It's not my fault.
Right.
I gave it to Ryan. And so that's the thing. That's that people go after Hasbro all the time. And I'm like, your anger is just, it's just displaced.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Same thing with distribution though. They can't tell Walmart's warehouse where to ship them, because there's stuff I get here in the Seattle area that you don't get there, and vice versa. Or
right.
It's just.
Well, you guys at least get your stuff restocked. Like when we get Ghostbusters, when we get real Ghostbusters, we get that one or 2 boxes of it. They're gone instantly, and then nothing gets restocked.
Right.
So we only have that one chance to really kind of get it up here sometimes, and then that's it. Especially with exclusives. So I count on Craig to help me out a lot.
Yes,
when it comes to these exclusives,
I send Ryan exclusives, and he sends me free healthcare from Canada. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
You get pills in the mail then?
He gets in the mail. Hey man, I need some more of that healthcare, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
let's I want to talk about Masters of the Universe. So you brought up Origins. I think Jake said you collected Masters as a kid. Is that true?
I can tell you a heartbreaking story real quick. I'll make it real quick.
Tell it.
Get into He-Man, love He-Man. He-Man's everything. Watch it after school every day. Back when studios were crazy and released a new episode every single day.
Season 1, 94 episodes.
Right? It's just insane. The animators, it's just like carpal tunnel every day. And so I got big into He-Man, and this is two-part. He-Man, and then later on I was huge into Mask, right? So when I decide to move out and, go to college, and then I get at my own place after college, I go back to my folks and I take all my collections because I never got rid of anything. I took all but two. I took all but He-Man and Mask, right? And Mask I was almost complete on. I had 5 figures, 5 vehicles away from the very end of the line, and I had everything.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So huge Mask line. I loved it. Huge He-Man line. Years go by, life happens and you realize, hey, I should probably go over to mom and dad's and, hey, where's my He-Man? You go over there and I can't find him. Well, my mom used to sell Christmas decorations. It's called, Christmas Around the World. House of Lloyd. She would put on like Avon parties, but with Christmas decorations.
Okay. I got you.
People.
Yep.
So she would get these huge boxes of decorations to go promo at people's houses. Well, she kept on to those. And so she started buying storage units to kind of fill up with these decorations. And sometimes she wanted to keep the decorations in the house. So she would take some of our stuff and put them in storage units. Long story short, it's now 2020 and my Mask and my He-Man collection are completely gone. They cannot find it. Now, my mother and father are total collector supporters. They started me on this road. They would never, ever, ever get rid of it. Sell it, give it to Goodwill or whatever. But they have had a couple of the storage units broken into. To this day, I lost 95% of my Mask collection and every single piece of my He-Man collection.
That's awful.
So,
oh my God.
It is awful. It is awful.
I'm sorry.
Now, I didn't get into classics. Because I like toys that are in toy aisles. I know that sounds really, I don't know what that sounds like. Maybe snotty, maybe,
it's like reverse snotty, because it's actually not. Right. You're saying, I don't want to subscribe to MattyCollector.com and get my toys.
No, I don't. I want to relive that joy that I had as a kid going to Toys R Us and having to make that painful decision on a wall of 6,000 action figures, which one I get to go home with.
You are a 1980s purist.
Yes.
I am. I want that experience. And so I don't want to pay that, that be online at 6:00 on Friday and get it before it sells out in 35 seconds, even though clearly that's what I've been doing. Here's my Armorer figure. Did you guys get one of these?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's great.
One. He got one. I did not get one. I was like, this is what, that bloody Hasbro PulseCon. It was like that. Like, I kept thinking like, I will, hopefully there'll still be some available the next day, because I really want to save my money for whatever the big Ghostbusters reveal is going to be.
Right.
And then there was
nothing,
and then everything sold out. And
it just wasn't what you wanted.
Well, it was Ecto
a Proton,
a Plasma Series Ecto 1, not in scale with the Plasma Series figures.
Yeah, no.
And it was a Target exclusive, so you couldn't get it on.
Yeah. Well, the thing with we're pretty close with what's going on with Hasbro and Ghostbusters, and they've got a lot yet to be revealed. They just
good.
They don't know when the movie's coming out. Supposedly June. We'll see what happens.
Nobody knows when any movie ever is coming out.
But Ghostbusters is really a property that for the collector's lines and everything, it's 100% dependent on media. Without the media, like there are hardcore Ghostbusters fans, but it's not what Star Wars and G.I. Joe Masters like.
It's barely even My Little Pony. You know what I mean?
Like it's My Little Pony's way past Ghostbusters.
Hey, you'll be happy. I started showing my boy the Extreme Ghostbusters.
Oh, cool!
Nice.
I didn't know that was kind of in continuity, like a continuation. I just thought it was a reimagining, but that was kind of fun.
It is fun, and that's a really cool line of toys from Trendmasters, and a little bit on the pricier side these days.
No.
But
everything is.
But everything's expensive.
Right.
Find me the cheap toys. Especially these local toy shops that still have all the Power of the Force figures for like $25. Like, come on, what are you doing, buddy?
Ooh, I could show you a cheap toy that I found that I thought was really cool. I picked this up at a toy antique shop that we have. We have quite a few of them here in the Seattle, Tacoma area. Look at this Stargate.
Ooh.
Cool.
They repurposed the Joe, of course, vehicle for this.
Yep.
And that's what I paid. Still sealed, $750.
I love that.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna have to put I'm gonna have to put those Stargate figures. I've been trying to. Twister is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I think it's a shame that there was no figures because every 90s action movie got figures. So I've been in my head for years trying to piece together how I could do a custom set of Twister, and it's usually like Kenner Aliens, Jurassic Park, Congo. I think I could, with between the vehicles and some G.I.Joe stuff.
So you want it to be in the spirit of the 90s then?
Yes.
Right?
Okay. I want
awesome.
Bill Paxton to have some sort of giant jetpack for some reason, and like
right. Well, this could be.
He's got like a weather detector on his back.
Right.
Yes.
I'm just excited to see what the villain is. How are you going to depict the Twister itself?
So we've talked about an actual tornado playset. We've had long discussions about this. You know, it's about 3 feet tall, kind of that cardboard plastic mix. Opens up. It's got levels that listen, I love that.
Amazing.
Now, you've got Jonas as your main villain, who is played by Carrie Ells. So I could talk about Twister all day. I won't do that to you though. What do you think about the? So you didn't do classics, and I won't bore everybody with my story about classics. But I decided that 2020 was the year to get into classics. So got a bunch of them.
You got Snake Mountain delivered to your house yet?
It's so I was way late on it. So mine's pre-ordered through Big Bad Toy Store. So it's probably going to be.
Got it.
You know. Could be. I kind of hope it's not for a while. Like if they sent me a letter that said, or an email that said, we're not shipping this till February, I'll be like, thank God, because I don't have the room, money, or anything.
That is the biggest thing I've ever seen.
It's actually dumb. It actually makes no sense. Like it's big and like it's stupid. And you know what sucks with the Castle Grayskull was $350, I think, when it came out, and they ended up discounting it to about $100, and now they're close to $1,000. So, anyways, what do you think about Origins? Is what I've been trying to get to. Before I talked about Twister for 20 minutes, I just want to know what you think about Origins as a MOTU fan.
I love it with an asterisk.
Okay,
I love it. I love it with an asterisk. I hate, of course, like I had already mentioned, I hate any time it's exclusive. I know it's temporarily exclusive. It'll go wide. It'll go mainstream in January, I believe. And so I have everything in wave 1 except the Sky Sled. I guess the asterisk comes from the fact that some really cool pieces that I would love to have are just out of my price range. And that would be the Lords of Power. That would be the She-Ra set. That would be all the exclusives. So all of a sudden, this line starts off. I mean, this is where, as a collector, the line starts off without me being complete. And that is like,
it's frustrating.
Ow, I'm not complete before the line even starts with its basic. You know, I prefer exclusives. And again, one of the reasons with Black Series, I mean, like, I think 50% of Black Series Star Wars is exclusive and 50% is store retail. That's hard to maintain. I prefer a line that is 75, 85, 95% exclusive. I mean, retail, with and then 5% have something special that's exclusive. Maybe but to start this line where hundreds and hundreds of dollars for the Lords of Power, and I just did not, it's a bad taste in my mouth already starting it going, yeah, I'll never be complete on this line, I guess.
And did you know? Yeah. Just so, for our listeners, that was a PowerCon exclusive. It's like the prototype color schemes, correct?
No, all new sculpts. It was like the original designs.
That's what it is, the original designs.
Yeah, it was the original designs. And then I love She-Ra, and I think the new She-Ra is fun and amazing too. And my 10-year-old boy absolutely loves it. And it just makes my heart melt. that my 10-year-old
We're
boy
fans
is
of it
down
too.
there,
Yeah, we like it a
right?
lot.
Watching She-Ra, watching Carmen Sandiego. I'm like, Legends of Korra. I love it. But it's really good quality and content. So I'm just sad I couldn't get my hands on some of those more expensive pieces that debuted the line, which I don't think is the smartest way to go, because that feels like classics to me again,
Right.
where it's kind of like highbrow and whatever. I want the core characters.
Right.
So I'm curious on what Masterverse is going to be.
Yeah.
For the other series that's being, because we have 2 cartoon series that are unrelated even really to Origins, I guess. Kevin Smith's is a continuation of the original, right? And then Masterverse is going to be, I guess, like the 2000X line, kind of like a reimagining.
Yeah, it is crazy how Masters feels like you've got Origins they're going all in on, which it'll be interesting because they were a little bit hard to find at our Walmarts, and now it is like peg warmer central. I could go buy Wave 1 at any Walmart in Atlanta right now.
Oh,
that's horrible.
Well, that's the case.
That's horrible. It's for second or third wave, though.
Right.
That's horrible if it's hanging around, right?
Well, yeah, and I think that's the other thing. Like, Wave 2, I haven't seen Wave 2 in stores yet, so I don't. G.I. Joe Classifieds, like it. How do I even say this? I've never.
Is that in store?
I'm sorry. Right, exactly. So it's like that. Before we'll get to G.I. Joe, let's and I want to be respectful of your time too, because we're at an hour already.
Hey, it's my birthday tomorrow.
Oh, cool!
It's a shortened school day.
All right, I like
Veterans Day the day after. I got 5 more hours in me. Easy.
Let's do it. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Masters in the sense that it is really easy to find, and but it seems like they overshipped. Like there's just so much of it, and it's great.
Oh, can you send some up north?
Sure,
that would be great.
Although Amazon did cancel my Wave 2 orders along with everybody else, Orko and.
See, we have Wave 2 up here.
Yeah,
and we don't have any Wave 1 except for the Sky Sled, and that's it.
Just the Sky Sled.
Just the Sky Sled from Wave together. 1. And then we've got like Wave 2 here. But man, the scalpers went and picked out I think they took out the Orcos and the Scareglows before they even reached the shelves.
Yeah.
Can we talk about 2020 is the year of the scalper, though? I mean, it is so bad this
bots
year.
And scalpers.
So,
we've been
bots
talking about
and
it.
scalpers.
Bots and scalpers.
Yep. Bot Scalpers 2020.
Yeah, we had a little political campaign for Bot Scalpers 2020. I don't know what it is, because I mean scalping's always been a thing, but I think it has to do with this pandemic. People are just at home more. Like it's not just toys. The sneaker industry is more insane than ever. The sports card collectors industry,
cards, I've noticed.
Pokemon cards have like skyrocketed. And all these collectibles are cyclical anyway, and it just happens to be like a perfect storm this year where I mean G.I. Joe is a really good example of it's just chaotic what's happening with classifieds. And like I had Jeremy Padower on our show, who is one of the partners at Jazzwares. And he's been in the toy business for a long time. He worked at Mattel a long time. And we talked a lot about supply and demand. And what he was saying is that for a new toy line, the best possible thing for that line is to basically be almost unavailable for that first wave. Because what he said to me, and this is a guy who sells toys for a living, is that if Target and Walmart see that Wave 1 is gone, and there's a demand for it, they're a lot more likely to stock Wave 2 and 3 and going down the line. Now, I don't know. Jazzwares is a smaller company. They're doing Fortnite, AEW wrestling, things like that. I can't speak to what Hasbro's deals are with, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, and all that. But it does seem like G.I. Joe's a big property, and this is a big relaunch for the first time ever, these 6-inch scale figures, and they're not. Like I found them, but I had to do a lot of hunting and a lot of searching almost daily for weeks And most people can't do that. And I understand as a collector, you get frustrated. So did you dabble in this 6-inch line at all, even though it goes against
I have the whole first wave.
Okay.
I have all, because Joe's my mistress. I love it to death. I have the whole first wave that I got on Pulse when they were announced. Okay. So I did Pulse. And then after I got the first wave, and this is what I typically do, I typically dip my toes in a line when it first comes out, and then I'll see if I'm loving it and I'm opening it. I know if I love a line if I'm actually opening it.
Right.
If I'm for like months later, I'm looking over at a stack of stuff and I've avoided, I've just chosen to open other stuff. I'm like, maybe this wasn't my jam,
No, that's a good point. I like that.
And so I dipped my toes into Joe, the 6-inch. I'm all in on the 3 3/4 because I didn't do the 25th anniversary. So these figures are actually new to me. The retro Joes are actually new to me because I didn't do the 25th anniversary because I'm a O-ring guy, but now I want to support any 3 3/4 line out there, hence buying this trash, right? So
I love it.
So I did buy the first wave and I got the exclusive Snake Eyes, and that was cool that they reoffered it. Here's the thing that I don't like. I get a lot of cool exclusive stuff, but I absolutely love when people get it, right? I don't like having being one of the only people to have certain items. I like when it becomes available and it doesn't sell out in seconds like so many exclusives do. So I'm in it. After wave 1, I'm picking and choosing on classifieds.
Okay.
I really want the Beachhead, but that's been impossible to find.
I saw Beachhead. I found Beachhead once by accident because my this Target I was at, it said they had 2 Cobra Troopers in stock, and the guy went into the back and he brought out a Beachhead. I was like, well, it's not what I came for, but I need to take this. And then
absolutely.
And I wasn't going to be like, hey man, so he's got more like green and like, I'm looking for blue. Like they don't care. They don't want, I've been so nice to Target boys. But after I had Beachhead, I saw kind of what you were saying. Glad that people got it. I was in a Target. I was walking towards the toy aisle. There was a guy kind of near me. You can always pick out toy collectors. They walk with a different kind of determination. He looked like maybe he was military, had a crew cut, kind of fit. And in my head, I was like, this guy's looking for classifieds. And we both hit the toy aisle at the same time. I didn't need anything, so I kind of skimmed past the G.I.Joe area. And there was one Beachhead, and I saw he kind of did like a he grabbed it and did like a, yes, I got it. I got my Beachhead. Yeah. But these Target exclusives were unbelievably hard to find, like harder than any retail exclusive that I've seen in toy collecting.
Yeah, they've been the rollout of classifieds has not been ideal. Again, though, what have we been talking about? Like it doesn't feel good when you love a line and you can't find it because it's exclusive to a retailer or it sells out in seconds. So yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I would love that if that line was more widespread. I love that it's selling out because it's popular, not because it's exclusive. That's a big difference when it comes to toy lines.
Right. Ryan, how are you feeling about classifieds? I know all you have is Baroness at this point.
Really, at this point, that's the only one I need until Zartan comes out, because Zartan's my boy, and I want the cloth mask Coco. So whenever they make him, that's going to be the other one I really want. And I kind of thought, you know what? I'm just going to go as I'm just going to get these certain characters. And I just said, no. Because once you start getting certain characters, even on just with the Joes and stuff, you're going to end up with all of them. So I decided, you know what? I want these 3 Cobra characters. Maybe a different Storm Shadow later on, because I'm kind of on the fence how I feel about the new one. But you know what? I think Zartan, Baroness, and Cloth Mask Cobra Commander, whenever that comes out, those are the only 3 I need. I've got a majority of the 25th anniversary figures. I got a lot of the O-ring figures as well, because G.I.Joe is not even a secret mistress. I have a Cobra tattoo, the whole bit. So
that'd be a really bad secret.
Yeah, that'd be a really bad secret to keep. So
I couldn't do that. I have 2 lightsaber tattoos, so I can't. Yeah, I can't cross over. It would be too obvious.
You know what I love?
Yeah.
Our Jacob Walsh is our partner at Yes Have Some, and he's my best friend in the world, and he is so conflicted about Star Wars all the time, and I always have to remind him. Like, he's always just like, God, I get so frustrated with Star Wars, and I love this and I hate this, and he's extremely opinionated. He legitimately has a Death Star tattooed on his face, his literal face right here. And I always go, hey man, you're not allowed to have Star Wars conflict in you because you have a Death Star on your face, which means you're a fan forever, no matter what. And he's like, okay, you're right.
You've committed, clearly.
That's a commitment. That's a commitment. He's also a tattoo artist and has lots of tattoos. So, Classifieds has been cool. It's been fun. It's been a fun hunt. I don't get frustrated. I try not to. And when I do, I don't unleash on message boards. But I do have a podcast. I could talk
Good.
about it.
Thank you. We have enough of that online, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were at Toy Fair in back 20 years ago in February, and that's what it feels like. It was my first time at Toy Fair. It was wonderful, and I really loved it. And talked to the brand rep for G.I. Joe, and I don't know if they still have the same people because I know they rotate folks out sometimes, but I got the vibe that they weren't 100% sure what this line was going to be, because people had been asking for 6-inch Joes for a long time, but until I feel like they slow rolled it. I think there's going to be a lot of G.I. Joe figures next year, especially with the new movie coming out. But I think there was a little bit of a hesitation of knowing like whether or not this was going to be successful.
That's funny you say that, because I feel like they should. I feel like the only hesitation I would see them having is if they wanted to rebrand the 3 3/4. Because Daryl DePriest was on a podcast, and Daryl DePriest is the old brand manager for G.I. Joe and Star Wars back in the day. Like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, whatever.
Like I said, February feels like a lifetime ago.
Right?
So
I know.
Years ago, it was like...
I saw someone post a photo just today. It said, look at this old time photo of people eating in a restaurant,
Exactly.
2019.
Yeah. It's so
right?
weird. They don't have masks on or anything. Did they have air conditioning? What was it like back then?
Probably ate with their hands.
Oh.
So Daryl DePriest was saying that they actually held off on the 6-inch line for Black Series, because he was running it just at that time, because they knew it would cripple or destroy the 3 3/4 line. And sure enough, flash forward, now it's their, Hasbro's baby is clearly the 6-inch for a lot of, for the last few years. And so that's why it's surprising for me to think that they didn't have enough trust that the 6-inch line wouldn't be awesome, because the Marvel Legends line is, undefeatable at this point.
Right.
I was collecting all the 3 3/4 Marvel figures until they just weren't anymore. And so,
yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. It's funny because we were talking about how that Ecto one is out
of scale.
It's so out of scale, and it's actually in scale with like 3 3/4 figures, and. I did some digging because I came up with this theory, because Plasma Series, the new Ghostbuster stuff, is major peg warmer city. It's everywhere.
Sure.
And
can I ask your opinion real quick? Both your opinions?
Yeah. For sure.
What's your thoughts over that and the previous Mattel line? I mean, it's lesser or greater?
So I do have a soft spot for the Mattel line because, and I think most Ghostbusters fans do. I don't want to speak for Ryan, but I will. That was the first time we ever got figures from the movie. Like it just never, well, besides NECA had a couple, but they never did the guys. So, and obviously Mattel had its issues, and Matty Collector, that's a whole nother podcast or a whole nother series of podcasts. But I like the Matty Collector figures a lot. I think the sculpts are all good. Holding them side by side, once thing that's interesting that a lot of people were bummed about is these new Plasma Series figures are actually they're a little bit less than they're shorter than Black Series or Marvel Legends figures. They're more in scale with the Mattel figures. I think they maybe did that on purpose. To answer your question, I think it's too early to say. It just depends what happens. If this is all we get from Plasma Series and they just cut and run, they're nice figures and they look pretty good. The likenesses are pretty good, but the Matty Collector figures just have a nostalgic. It's funny to have nostalgia from, I guess it was 2008 when they came out, so it's been a while.
But isn't the build a scene pieces kind of awesome though too? That you're missing out now?
I like that they're doing the build a figures because I collect Legends. So when of course we got excited when we found out that Hasbro got the license for Ghostbusters. So even my first thought was, I really hope they do build a figures
right
for this line. And the fact that they are, I really like it. I don't think Maddie ever got with Terror Dogs.
Whoa.
And so I don't think we ever got those. And I never got the Maddie line either, because when you're international and you're trying to do a mail-in subscription service, it's almost double the price.
Right. And then Diamond Select had the license before Hasbro, and they did the big diorama figures, and I like the diorama.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking that was Maddie. Right. Okay, so that was Diamond.
That was Diamond, and I don't love the Diamond Select figures in general. They're big and bulky, and they don't stand up, and they're just not. They're not my favorite, but the dioramas are really cool.
The environment pieces are worth it.
So you can kind of mix and match. But anyways, I thought maybe they're putting out this Ecto maybe for the movie. Now that they got this classic stuff out, they're going to do like a 3 3/4 Ghostbusters series. I just made it up in my head and I did some digging, and the answer was no, that's not a thing. So
dang it.
They were like, nice try. But the new Lego Ecto one seems to be almost at scale with the Plasma series figures, so it'll make a nice display, I guess. But yeah, so this all kind of ties back into this notion that toy collecting feels bigger than ever. I'm more involved in these communities than ever, but Jake, you've been doing this for a long time. Do you feel like it's more popular than ever to be out hunting for toys, or does it just feel that way because of all the exclusives and the scalping and everything else?
It's really
to do,
right? I think that's it. I think these toys are very popular here. You mentioned cyclical. No, cyclical. Say it for me.
There it is.
Cyclical. Wow, I was putting an extra R in there.
Circular.
Have another.
It's your birthday. You're fine.
And so, do we think that this will continue once, whatever quarantine or COVID life is over, right? Will the intensity? Did we just build a bunch of collectors in this environment that will continue on with the line, or is this something that And this is what I've noticed with younger collectors. They're happy to get in and out of lines. Like there are lots of younger collectors, much younger than I am. I turned 44 tomorrow, who like invest huge, get massive collections, really celebrate it online. And then they're like, one day they decide, yeah, I sold it all, whereas you would have to put a knife to my throat to get me to part with, things that I bought last week sometimes,
Right.
And so there is a different mentality, there's also, I know in the Star Wars community, there is a younger crowd who treats vintage Star Wars figures like currency, kind of like investing, kind of like buying into gold and whatnot. Yeah. And I don't collect that way. I collect because I love it, because it has nostalgia, because I grew up with it, because I absolutely adore the movies and whatnot. And I don't know if I've ever sold a vintage piece in my life, right? So it is really, really popular right now. Absolutely. And you see that with the scalpers, like we talked about, the things selling out in minutes. I was trying to go to and the newest wave of the newest line of Ghostbusters came out, the 35th anniversary line. And I always love to dabble in the newest line. I'm not a completist, but I will buy a pack. This is how I kind of treat myself when I go to Target on a toy run and I don't find anything. I buy a few garbage pail packs to kind of like, hey, I got something, right?
Right.
So the new line is out. They only had the blaster box. And so I'm reaching up to grab the new blaster box, and the rep was there actually filling the the shelves.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm going to ask you not to touch anything. I'm like, oh, okay. And so like I stand there and he doesn't acknowledge me and he goes about his business and like 3 minutes go by and I'm like, well, I'm not going to stand here while you do your job forever. And so I finally peek up and I go, I was just wanting one of those Garbage Pail Kids. And he goes, that's all you want? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, all right, you can take it. I grab it, I walk away, and it just tells me what he must be going through at these stores. Because my Target even has a permanent sign up there that says 1 per pack on all baseball cards or whatever. Yeah. And, so collecting, yes, is something that is thriving in COVID, in quarantine, in 2020. But it's difficult to tell if we're creating new collectors or once people can go surfing and biking and to concerts and, wherever, will they be still collecting? Right. So
I think there's environments.
Time will tell.
I think there's environments and message boards online where people like, I know, I don't even want to call him a friend. I know somebody who's really bad about the stalking the reps for baseball cards at Target and flipping stuff. And it's so bogus. And I'll never forget last year, when the Black Series first edition figures came out, the white box ones, he texted me. He was like, hey, what do you think? Will these have some resale value? I'm thinking about, I can get a case. I was just like, I don't even think I replied. I was like, what? You don't know anything about Star Wars or
it's toys. Gross.
Like it was weird. And of course in my head, I was also like, no, these are going to be worthless. And I was wrong because the Mandalorian goes.
You're a little wrong on that.
I was tiny bit wrong. But Ryan, remember we were at Ryan joined us in Orlando for Halloween Horror Nights last year, and you were able to. I mean, some of those were not that hard to find. They had a good amount of the first.
No, I got the Kylo and I got and Rey first editions, right? So, and it was one of those things too where I was just like, yeah, I'm getting these. I think I left with a few figures that night.
Yeah, you left with a few figures.
Yeah, yeah, and that. Well, friends, you're on vacation. You love Star Wars. What are you gonna do, man? You're gonna buy some toys. That's just how life works.
Was about to come out. And
yeah, man. We thought it was gonna this was gonna Stop, anyways,
be nice,
we're not gonna talk about it.
No,
yeah,
there will be no Star Wars opinions given on tonight's episode. No, I'm just kidding.
But I was excited. I was so hyped for Rise of Skywalker. And sometimes the excitement for a movie can be your best memory, even if you're not necessarily high on that movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
No, it's totally true. And it's, I was very excited. And I hold on to those. I actually cherish those memories of hype and excitement.
We should let Jake know that Ryan's favorite Star Wars movie is Attack of the Clones.
Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Followed closely by Attack of the Clones. And I really hope that the next HasLab is going to be Dex's Diner. I want Dex's Diner.
Okay, I will back Dex's Diner in a heartbeat, but I cannot support Attack of the Clones being at the top of the shop. Holy smokes.
Oh, man.
You know what? Don't worry. I get it. I understand why people don't like it. But I think that movie is just everything about it. I think it's fun. Sometimes it is funny, even though when it's not meant to be,
yes.
when Padme does don't do that. And he's got the, and he makes that face oh man, I love it. I love it.
You might have saw this picture because it got around the internet last year at Celebration. Ryan was part of the group that did the photo op with Hayden Christensen, where everybody has floating pairs, like all 10.
We had the floating pairs,
awesome.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
he had one too, and he was totally, he was all for it. Like he was like, man, that movie, it kills me. I love it though. Yeah,
I was happy to see him out at Celebration last year. That was exciting.
Yeah,
that was good to see him. So I work with a good friend of mine who runs SummerCon, which is a convention here in the Seattle Tacoma area.
Yep.
And we had some fun guests lined up for this year. That is just heartbreaking. And he lets me, because I help him out. He goes, "Hey, choose who you want to host on stage." And so I'm like, "Yeah, I'll host all the Star Wars, just so you know. I'll host all the Star Wars." Yeah. And so I actually did Carl Weathers last year and Tamara Morrison. And I've actually known since January that Tamara was going to be Boba in The Mandalorian, but of course kept that under wraps.
Yeah.
But
that's going to, we'll probably wrap up here in a few. Jake, we're going to have to keep doing this. Maybe we'll have you back and do a more fully fledged Star Wars conversation. You're more than welcome to join us for Midnight Mando.
Absolutely.
But I guess we do. Let's talk a little Mandalorian, since it's top of mind. It's 2 episodes in. It's incredible. It's so interesting to see something from Star Wars that seems to be universally loved and embraced, almost across the board, at least from what I see, but from the Star Wars fan community. I mean, I can think of one toy website that I'm not going to name, that doesn't love it or hasn't seen it, but that's fine. Everybody is, everybody has their own opinion, but it's Star Wars. And if there's one thing we know about Star Wars, it's friggin' polarizing, like no matter what. So to see it, to see all this love, it's kind of refreshing. Like even, no matter what, like sequel trilogy, there's I think Force Awakens is incredible. I love it. I really, really love it. And there's moments in The Last Jedi that I find to be incredible. And there's moments in Rise of Skywalker that I find to be incredible. So there's a lot of good to extract from all parts of Star Wars. But how's it felt being involved in the community? Because we're not, I cannot say that I'm part of the Star Wars deep dive community, but I know enough to know that there's a lot of love out there for this Mandalorian show.
Absolutely. It has been a breath of fresh air, because having been, it's funny, you talked about early in the show, you talked about not having a lot of media out here, out this year. And now that you have these different shows that you're kind of doing to help, I don't know, get you through or support or sustain. Well, that's actually why I founded my website back in 2013. What did we have for Star Wars in 2013? We didn't have much at all, right?
A 2-year wait.
Right. And so I a lot of sites got away from writing about Star Wars figures. And I was like, well, every site I'd go to read about Star Wars figures is not writing about it. They're writing about high-end sabers and props and stuff. I'm like, well, I'll just start doing it, I guess. And that's the road we've been on since 2013. And but the point in being that along that route, you have had a lot of ups and downs in regards to people upset about the Disney purchase and people upset about, the sequel trilogy. And of course, we had the whole, George Lucas did all sorts of unspeakable things to my childhood with the prequel crowd haters, So toxicity or hate in Star Wars has definitely ebbed and flowed over the years. Even Clone Wars started, who the blank is this Ahsoka? Anakin never had a Padawan. And then flash forward, 5-6 years, and we're bawling when she's having her final episode in the series. So, things go up and down like crazy. And yes, I actually lost some friends over, as silly as it is, I'll say online friends, not real friends, over the last 2 sequel films, just because the vibe they were putting off toward these films were just so intense and so, and so it is nice. It is absolutely lovely to see The Mandalorian be embraced by, old school fans, because you got Jon Favreau in there trying to pull out his action figure toy box that he had as a kid, and bringing out the IG-88 figures and the E-Web cannons and the Imperial troop transports and all these Kenner toys that you could see Jon Favreau played with as a kid, is now putting them in his show. But at the same time, you have Filoni, who is the usher and the custodian and the heir to Lucas, who has these, this Clone Wars knowledge and this Rebels and this, all this modern mythology of Star Wars. He's able to tie that in with Jon. And even if you watch some of those gallery or behind the scenes videos, you can tell Jon's an old school fan and Dave's a massive fan, because he's writing the new fandom, and he's like, well, I don't know if I remember that, but Dave's like, it's there,
Right. And I think Dave Filoni's still talking in a few of those episodes.
Right.
Give him a microphone and go Star Wars, and you're just back.
No, I here's the thing. I'm like this the whole time. Talk more, Dave. Talk more, Dave.
Dude, same here.
Bring it. So, so you have this blending of the world. You have the blendings of the prequel trilogy, the animation universe, the original trilogy, the Kenner toy line. I think the only thing that they've yet to do and they promised they would, is start to tie this into the sequel trilogy. So we haven't had any mention of First Order, but some of the only things that Filoni said, or Favreau even said, that this would show you some of the origins of the First Order. So I think if we do that, you kind of have the trifecta: the original, the prequel, and the sequel trilogy. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm so happy, and I love it. And I actually, West Coast, we're blessed with the ability to, it's fairly easy to stay up till midnight to watch the latest episode, so I don't have to risk being spoiled by anybody online who wants to not behave correctly. So
I keep mine as a morning routine, because then that way on Fridays I don't even look at my phone. It stays flipped, and I go get a coffee. I can relax and just watch Mando, and then I turn my phone over and found out a million different things, because no one's typing spoilers, but everyone's like, for some reason, that's Friday mornings is when my phone seems to be on fire in every chat that I'm in. But and that's great too. Like, I mean, I don't know. I love that Mando has created, it's like it's become a Saturday morning thing for me again. But like on Fridays, and it's like, have my big bowl of cereal and my coffee and Star Wars. It's wonderful.
Knowing where we've been. I mean, when you think about whenever the announcement was that Disney was buying Lucas. So that was 2012. And I remember I was about to go into work. I was reading the articles. They were all just breaking. And it was like, whoa, Disney bought Star Wars? What does that be? Episode 7, 8, 9. This can't be real. Let me check Deadline. Let me check whatever. And it was like, it's real, but we have to wait 3 years. And knowing that like we're about to hit the 5-year anniversary of Force Awakens, crazy. Like we're 5 years past that, and that we've gotten these 3 Star Wars movies, and there was some tumultuous stuff. The whether or not you love Last Jedi or don't love it or have mixed feelings, Disney's reaction to bring back J.J. Abrams and fire Colin Trevorrow, and then all the stuff that happened with Solo, with the directors and Ron Howard, like it is so you almost can't blame fans, because we've got so much access. We see it all. Like normally when Coca-Cola is having major shakeups, you don't know about it. You just go to the store, you buy your Coke because you like Coke or Pepsi or whatever.
Right.
But Star Wars as a product, you're getting behind the scenes, like things aren't great. Like, is Kathy Kennedy going to be gone? Is she going to be there? What's going to happen? Are they bringing George Lucas back? And then when you get to Mando, it just feels like breath of fresh air. They know what they're doing. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, great Star Wars. It's like you get a little Star Wars movie every week for 10 weeks. Like,
absolutely,
you can't beat that at all.
Mando's not flawless. You do have some websites that are trying to promote, Pascal had issues on the set and walked away from season 2. And
I heard about a little bit of that. I heard about
and so, you do have sites that, I guess we'll say clickbait, try to do it. But when you have folks who aren't into Star Wars talking about Baby Yoda or talking about the return of characters or what have you, you know you've arrived, right? And that's especially on a series that's behind a paywall. You know, the paywall is, of course, Disney Plus. And so, you know, when you have such a mass embracement of something that people have to purposely seek out. They can't just be flipping NBC, ABC, Fox, and like, oh, look at what's this show? No, they have to seek it out. They have to subscribe. They have to then go and download and watch it. And so that speaks volumes to how awesome it is that so many people. And now, of course, we're swimming in Baby Yoda merch. You know,
we are, and I'll take it all because
that's fine.
It's a home run, and it could have gone the other way. People could have been like, I'm sure, like it's weird because it was all about Baby Groot. Now it's Baby Yoda, and there was those rumors that I don't know. I never know. You never remember when all the remember the Abrams cut? Remember last December? Remember what last December was like? And there was all this talk about like they wanted to get rid of Babu Frick, and they were gonna. It's just like it gets so chaotic, but Baby Yoda worked. It's phenomenal. He's eating eggs. It's great. He's ending people's, bloodlines because he's hungry. I love it. I love it.
Do you think the next trilogy is going to be the High Republic? Do you think that's what they're setting in motion now with the new media campaign?
I'll answer this one before Craig because I think I've been following it a little closer than he has.
Go for it.
And I honestly do think that's where they're going to go, just because right when they announced it, it seemed like a huge major media push. Like they're getting ready to do comics and novels, and it sounded like they were going to get ready to do some games. It just sounded like a big thing. And even though they were that announcement was kind of more getting us ready for it, even though it seemed like they were kind of still far away from doing it, I honestly do think that next trilogy is going to be High Republic.
See, I think
it just seems to fit.
I think it's a possibility. I think there's so many things in the works. Like we know Taika Waititi's doing a Star Wars movie, but we don't know. Like they haven't really firmly come out and say like there's going to be a trilogy. We're going to have standalone movies. They don't.
Oh, they did. They just haven't revisited it in years.
Okay.
So they announced a trilogy. They announced, remember the Game of Thrones guys were going to do.
Yeah.
Yes, and then they said that
was going to get a trilogy.
Ryan Johnson has a trilogy. They remember Kevin Feige has a movie. Taika has a movie. These are all official. I don't know if Taika is official, but those other three, those are official StarWars.com. You can go back and read them.
Read the article.
They just have disappeared. And I think that's how Disney does it, though. I think when they change courses, that's how they do it. They stop talking about it. Because if you notice, James Gunn got fired after one little, incident resurfaces online. They fire him. Then they don't talk about it for about a year and a half. And then they go, hey, we're going to have James Gunn back. Right?
Nobody cares.
Same thing with John Lasseter. Little perk comes up and then they go, oh, he's on a sabbatical or he's on a leave. And then they never talk about it again. And next thing you know, he's working for another company. Right. Because they're just like, they just don't talk about it. They don't stir the pot and try to maintenance all our rumors and feeds and stuff. And then they'll make an announcement. So I don't know. We know that the Game of Thrones guys opted out of the Star Wars deal and went with, I think Netflix, right?
Yep.
For $100 million or something crazy. So we know that that's not coming from the Game of Thrones guys, but that would have been a good sync for a High Republic series, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that maybe we can end on this note. It's because it's good food for thought. I think there's so much to explore with the characters that were introduced in the sequel trilogy, and I hope that we get the chance to see what happens with Finn and Rey specifically, because I think those are powerful characters. I think they missed the mark on a couple opportunities. I've ranted and raved about how they had a chance to make Finn one of the coolest, most important, and he is important, and he plays a great role, but coming out of Rise of Skywalker, I still got that feeling like we never got the full force. excuse my pun,
Yeah.
with Finn. And I would love it if Disney Plus announced a mini series focusing on Finn or Rey or any of those characters. When it comes to a new trilogy, I wonder if there's hesitation. They still seem so locked in to the because Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford are still alive. Like I get that feeling that there maybe is a hesitation to distance themselves from the Skywalker saga, which it's been known as since last year, the Skywalker saga. So I would love to see a new trilogy, High Republic, whatever it ends up being, just something that's different in a different corner of the Star Wars universe where they can because, when I first heard about Mandalorian, my eyebrows raised. I was like, well, that sounds cool, but like, who's going to care about that? Who is this for? But then when you start watching it, you're like, oh, this is just really well done. And this is for me. This is for me. It's for me only. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, this year's a wash, and then, they're going to start filming Kenobi. There was another series they were talking about today.
That's in Andor or Boba Fett. They're trying to say Boba Fett has a series. That's rumors.
There's the Cassian series. There's the rumored Boba Fett one that may or may not be filming right now. And then there's I can't think of her name, but she's a female writer director that also has a series coming out. But it hasn't been officially announced, but it's a female-led action series. It was, oh gosh, I'm going to look it up. But anyway, so there's a lot of sticks in the fire. Here it is. A Disney Plus series from Leslie Headland will feature a timeline that we don't know much about. So it's just kind of news that's not news. So, let me ask you this, Jake, and then we'll end on this. What do you want to see out of a new trilogy? That's a big question. What time? Yeah,
that's a heavy question.
You're talking to someone that admittedly loves Star Wars, and I'll watch any new Star Wars media that's out there. Like I'm waiting for Life Day this year because I'm excited for the new Lego Star Wars holiday special. I love that trailer. Right?
It was so fun.
I love the Freemakers. I thought Freemakers was really done. My 10-year-old boy and I had a lot of fun watching that series. So Lego does it well. So I am happy. I'm waiting for Disney Plus to drop Detour, Seth Green's series that's in the can, we in Seattle area, we're a weird group, we really embrace the original holiday special and so we watch that annually and we have a good time with that. So I'm not the best person for gauging, for talking about what is good Star Wars content.
Well, I'm used to that.
I take it all in
because my wife Abigail, who is with us on Toy Anxiety most of the time, we watch Ewok Adventure like once a week. Like it's always on in our house. So
I raised my kids. I think my kids have seen the Ewok movies more than any of the original trilogy movies. So it's definitely on high rotation here too.
Our little medicine jar says Sindel's medicine on it. So in our house. So and we want Sindel to get her medicine. We really do.
What would I want to see? I'm not going to dictate that. Would I love to see the next chapter of Rey and Finn and what that world looks like? In my headcanon, Finn and Rey settle on Tatooine together, right? That's just my headcanon. But they made it really ambiguous in the series on whether he had the Force or whether he was in love with her. But that's kind of fun too. You can make it your own. I think that would play better though in an animated series. I think the future, like I don't know what they would call it, the new Republic, the newer Republic, the once old now new. Right? Yeah. So the not First Order Republic. I think that would be an interesting story. You know what I would really love to do is, years ago when Sebastian Stan came out and people did that face mashup with Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
And he was I would bleed someone to have a Jedi Luke post Return of the Jedi badass going around the galaxy peace keeping or fighting or whatnot. Yeah. And, I'm fine. Hey, Mark Hamill had a great run, but you know what? I love Ewan McGregor, so I'm all about recasting. If you want to recast young, hey, Alec Guinness was great. Ewan McGregor was fantastic. So, so let's cast a new young Luke and let's get him out there being a badass after Return of the Jedi, cleaning up the Empire, fighting at the Battle of Jakku, whatever you want to do, right? I mean, let's see that series. That would be awesome.
So my idea was a Luke and Lando team up show, because they, Lando does reference that him and Luke had some adventures, and my idea was it's every episode. It's like a Monster of the Week type of thing, where every episode starts with Billy D. Williams and Mark Hamill at the Cantina bar talking, and then it flashes back, and it's Sebastian Stan and Childish
Gambino. Donald Glover.
Yes.
Solo 2, I would love for that. Make Solo 2 happen. That if I could choose anything, I would watch that tomorrow. That would be absolutely it. I loved Solo. I think it got a bad rap. I think Disney and Iger completely mishandled that. Dropping it not in December like it was normal, putting it in the shadow of Avengers and Endgame. It was 100% mishandled, totally unappreciated, and I want more of it. So
man, I might need to revisit Solo, because I don't love it, and people tell me this all the time. I'm ready to, just like I did with Masters of the Universe Classics, I'm going to get into Solo this year, because I don't like not liking things. Some people pride themselves on hating stuff. I like liking stuff.
I don't. Yeah, no, that's not my favorite. People who boast about hating stuff. That's
worse.
I don't have enough energy. I want to live my life, loving things. Oh, speaking of, hey, since you mentioned you were a wrestling guy back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So one of my favorite things is to go to the thrift store and find their bags. So I had to buy this because it had a Stratos in it, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
that's the
already the.
Somebody's
already at Value Village.
Yeah, Value Village. So now tell me who this dude is.
So
I don't have a clue.
Braun Strowman.
That's Braun Strowman, and that's just it looks like his regular elite wrestling figure, which is probably about a $25 figure. So not bad. There you go.
Do you have this figure?
I don't. Well, I know I have.
Do you want this figure?
Which one?
I will send this to you. This figure.
I appreciate that. I don't do modern wrestling guys, only class, but I do appreciate that.
If somebody wants this, let me know. I'll send it to you.
We're giving away a Braun Strowman tonight.
Because I buy my $4 Stratos. Who is this guy with the Stratos?
That's Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio Jr.
I know that name. Okay.
Now, Jake, before we let you go, we gotta let you tell everybody where they can find you, what you're doing, and I think they know why you're doing it. So, tell them about From Forlorn to Zuckuss and your podcasts. And by the way, I listen to the Sandcrawler. I love that. I love when you're on there, and it's just fun. I am always searching for toy podcasts. I found a new one called Toy Power, I think it's called, out of Australia. Those guys are great. I just love hearing people talk about toys. That's why I'm doing it.
As I do too. I typically, my night regiment actually has been like toy, because I listen to podcasts usually on my commute to work. Well, I don't have a commute to work because I'm a school teacher and we're not working in schools right now. We're working from home. But my night routine, like when I get in bed, I put in the iPad and I see what Toy Galaxy is posted for the day, or Pixel Dan, or, some of the other toy YouTube shows. And so that's kind of how I fade into sleep. So I run From Forlorn to Zuckuss.com. That is your source for Star Wars action figure news. I covered, one of my claim to fames is the Disney droids, doing that, but I do all the Hasbro stuff. And so you're going to find databases, you're going to find pictures, you're going to find press releases, interviews, so on and so forth for all things Star Wars action figures. Since 2013, I've been a co-host on Galaxy of Toys podcast. If you really want to get old school, you can go back to, I just saw the other day that Spotify has all of my episodes. I used to run a podcast with Jedi Business called Toy Run, the Star Wars action figure cast. And those are all up on some older platforms. And then also, like you mentioned, you can find me as a reoccurring guest on the Sandcrawler with my buddies Mac and Dan. And so, so that's pretty much it right now. Normally, I have more of a, you'll find me on the circuits because I normally have panels at Emerald City Comic Con, and sometimes I do celebrations, panels, and like I said, Washington Summer Con. But, 2020 is a wash for all of that. Right. So look for hopefully that to flare back up back in 2021. So cool. Yeah, that's, I stay busy when not, teaching sixth graders. Social studies. Very cool.
Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, and everybody go check out From Forlom to Zuckuss. Awesome content all over that site. Mm-hmm. And then, I'll talk to you off air, as they say, and we'll get you on Midnight Mando one of these weeks, and
heck yeah,
you can come on for the deep dive because I need, we have Troy Benjamin join us every week, and Ryan and Abigail. We've been having a really good time, so we'll do that, and then you're more than welcome to join us on Toy Anxiety anytime you want because it's talking about toys is the greatest thing in the world, and it's a lot better than talking about real life. Ryan,
let's talk about elections and politics right now.
Listen, okay. All I'm saying is, I had an election thing. What were we talking about earlier? It was something about people watching. I don't know. The moment has passed. I hope everybody's doing okay and staying safe and healthy. That's all I got to say. Ryan, anything else before we sign off?
Well, speaking about politics, so up here we got like a couple of beavers up here, and they both want to build a dam. But two different places, but we got to vote on which dam is going to be like the main dam, and like which one's just going to be like a little hangout dam. Yeah, So we just toss up a pack of cigarettes, and whoever finishes the cigarettes first kind of wins, and then we kind of vote on smoke them best.
Then you tie the sky sled to the foot of a goose and send him over the
No,
wall.
just the back, Yeah, just right. And we just send them off. Careful though, they got teeth.
There you go. Cool.
But I got nothing else to say. It was great having you on here, Jake. This was
awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was great. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week on Toy Anxiety. Don't forget to follow Yes Have Some at YHS Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and then you can join our official Facebook group, Yes Have Some Group Therapy, where we all like to hang out, talk about toys, yell at each other, things of that nature. Jake, we will see you next time. For Craig and Ryan and Abigail, who's not here, thank you for joining Toy Anxiety. Bye.